Welcome back to the Ref Show. I think there's one thing on which we are all agreed. We want cheats dealt with, we want cheating, gamesmanship, etc., play acting out of the game. And finally, just on the eve of the season, I'm looking at the FA's Twitter site, and they drop a bombshell in just a few hours before kickoff that they might charge cheats this season in certain circumstances. First of all, broadly speaking, are you happy to hear that, Carl?
Well, no, we all want cheats punished because it makes the referee's job harder, and it's not in the in sportsmanship, and it's not good for the good of the game. But the rule that they've come out is going to create so much grey area. I mean, if you're going to try and stamp it out, then you should charge any cheat. You can't just say, well, hang on a minute. So what they're saying is the person who gets booked, right, because somebody's cheated or sent off, if it's rescinded, then they're going to now charge the player for cheating.
That's exactly right. That's where they've started with. I mean, the exact wording, Keith, players faking injury or exaggerating contacts, which results in an opponent being dismissed for violent conduct, may, they only say may, face action. If the dismissed player has his red card overturned on appeal, the opposing player could be charged. So it's...
Well, I think there are other issues that are much bigger than that. Yes, the game's always had cheats, but put it in context here. The number of games, the number of minutes, the number of challenges that take place in a game. And sometimes the difficulty a referee faces, you might get a player who's challenged and he rolls and he rolls and he rolls, but he's doing that roll to ease the fall. You don't
think it's as big a problem as...
No, I don't. I think ultimately, at the end of the day, right, if cheating takes place, the first rule of thumb is let the referees referee it. If they see it and they punish it, then where it's been lacking in the past is the support of the FA in following that through and punishing the player for it. So, hold on. They're saying we've got to have a red card before we punish the cheat. Hold on. I see cheating in the guy who goes over and dives for a penalty kick. What are they going to re-referee that? Are they, like the Scots? The Scottish FA will proactively, post-match, punish acts of simulation unseen by referees. The FA are not. It's out of kilter.
Is it not better late than never? Is a start not better than nothing?
But it's not a start like Keith says. It's very ambiguous. Again, it's a lot of grey area there, right? I don't think it's necessarily a massive problem in the Premier League of cheats. I mean, there's isolated incidences.
Not as bad as it is abroad.
Not as bad as it is abroad. And then I think that, as Keith said, it should be straight away, retrospectively, after the game, dealt with, and the managers should deal with the players with that as well.
So they've overcomplicated it.
Yeah, overcomplicated it.
And coming out on a Saturday morning, start of the season, get real. I mean, are the players aware? Absolutely not. Are the managers aware? Probably. They might just have had a discussion pre-season. Are the media aware? No, because it comes out Saturday morning on a Twitter. I don't think that is the way you communicate a change in application of the laws or the punishment regarding the laws.
Not if you're serious.
Not if you're serious.
So is that strategically pushed?
Well, I mean, I listened to a player respond to it on Saturday, and it was, well, it's 2-week wonder. Yeah. And that's where it goes. I think they're more.
There are going to be times this season when we see a guy sent off for violent conduct. He stands to have a 3-match ban. We can see from the replay, even if we haven't at the time, that he's been duped by an opponent. There will be times.
Well, if the FA are 100% and bring that in, fine. But just a minute here. There's a game played at grassroots football. What support is the guy in the local park going to get? I mean, the FA are responsible for the game as a whole. And therefore, whatever applies in the senior game ought to apply at grassroots level. Yeah. What's the local county FAs going to do? Because they've no video, they've no these sort of things. I think sometimes it's a bit of a rush to suddenly think, I've got an idea. Yeah. These are things that need to come through, involve the PFA, involve the LMA, involve the managers and the coaches, and the referees, And that issue, in part, can be answered by people behind the scenes rather than actually putting the onus on whether somebody on a Saturday night says he's cheated.
Yeah, do you know, if that came out earlier, I missed it. But it's just that was certainly news to you, wasn't it?
Yeah, it
It
was.
was news to me. Apologies
Absolutely.
if we missed it, but that's the way it came across to us, and really people should have known. Those in the game should have known. What about this? It's not the first time, remarkable though it is. Doncaster versus Bury, which finished in a 1-1 draw, where effectively, really, neither side actually properly scored. Just to set the scene, if you haven't seen it. Doncaster took the lead. Goal was given. It's one of those situations where a player has to give it back to the opposition goalkeeper, kick it back in this instance. Harry Forrester miscued or connected too well. Ball sails in over the opposition goalkeeper, and it's a goal. Then the opposition's allowed to walk one in, but there was a big furore. Learning for the referee in that scenario, there's nothing you can do, is there?
I think the first thing, the debate ought to be, let's get back to contested restarts, i.e. a drop ball in law, rather than the make-up of you pass it back. And, you know, I've been instances when I refereed, when I wanted to say to the defending team, pass it back, or the attacking team, pass it back to the goalkeeper, and we'll get the game started. And they've said, no, we're not going to do that. Right. So there are issues that sometimes occur that don't go public. So my view is, let's stop all this nonsense. One, referee stops the game when there's an injury. You don't have to wait for the players getting the ball kicked off to stop the game. And then restart it with a contested drop kick. In this instance, praise must be that the referee was got out of a hole here, big time, by the act of the managers, in an act of sporting behaviour from them that was truly remarkable and should be recognised in the game as football.
Paul Dickov and David Flitcroft, two guys that you'll know.
Yeah, no, them really well. Two good guys, two fiercely competitors when they played the game. I think, let me tell you, they've both done well there. But if the game wasn't a level game, let me tell you, and it wasn't the opening game of the season, there would have been murders on. There'd have been murders on. The fact that the game was a level game, you know, and both managers are probably looking and saying they're happy for a point on the opening day because both teams are fancied, you know, there could have been murders on. But at the end of the day, I mean, I don't necessarily agree with Keith with the drop ball because it depends where the incident happens. If for instance, now it's in the final third, right, and you've stopped the game for, you know, for an injury, right, and you restart with a drop ball, it's not fair. So I think the going back to the goalkeeper is fine, but I think Keith made a valuable point. Surely at some point the referee must have seen the ball sailing over the keeper's head. All he's got to do is blow the whistle before the ball hits the back of the net. Done, finished.
What, find something?
Yeah. I think the art of refereeing is actually finding something. Yeah. And he has to find something.
Yeah. You're not supposed to say that.
At the end of the day, we're refereeing a game here where all of a sudden it's out of his control. Yeah. The game's gone away from him at that particular point because he's got people fiercely arguing, players arguing, managers probably arguing until eventually they come to consensus. And of course, Carlton is absolutely spot on. If this could have been another game in another part of the season, whatever, then we might have had a different scenario.
Drop ball is something that's gone out of the game. It used to be a routine part of the game. It must have been when you started.
Yeah, it was. I mean, but I like I've said, it's a difficult one now. If it's a drop, if it's a situation, it's in the centre of the pitch or around about that area, then fair enough. But like I've said, if the referee stopped it, say for a clash of heads, right, and you're then having a drop ball outside of the edge of your box, you know, it's an unfair advantage. So, you know, I mean, it's not difficult to roll the ball back. I mean, you know, to do what he's done, do you know what I mean? He'll probably never do it again. It shows his lack of ability. I mean, to roll the ball back to the goalkeeper.
There's nothing in the laws of the game, by the way, that other than a drop ball to restart.
No.
So it's all contrived. All this business is contrived.
Yeah, it is. It's contrived, and where I think the Premier League took a lead very early on was, if you remember, in Europe, you had players deliberately kicking the ball off, saying he's injured, the teammate going down, and it was becoming farcical. And the Premier League stepped in fairness, and said, look, we don't want this on our league. We prefer referees to take that action. of recognising a player is injured and stopping the game. But great response from the two managers.
And what a hell of a talking point for us as well. So thanks guys all round for helping us to entertainingly fill a few minutes. As Carlton and Keith have both ably done, and you can help us as well at youaretheref.com. Contact us with any queries or points that you'd like to raise with the panel. Meantime, thanks for being with us, and we'll see you again next week. Bye now. Bye.